Welcome back, everyone, to the Youth and Politics podcast. My name is Cody.
And my name is Carrara, and today we are here with
Eleni.
Eleni, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Eleni. I'm 17 and I'm based in London. And I actually am the host of my own podcast called Women in Westminster, which you can check out on Spotify and YouTube.
Lovely stuff. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and why you started it up.
To answer the first kind of half of that question, my podcast is interviews with female members of Parliament and members of the House of Lords. And it aims to appeal to young women to enable them to sort of take that leap to start their sort of political journey, because I know, at least from my own experience, there are a lot of barriers on young women in particular that want to enter politics. And I mean, this is a podcast I kind of needed a few years ago.
Lovely, that's really great to hear. And what do you aim to get out of the podcast?
I mean, a few things. So meeting new people that I wouldn't usually meet or speak to, just sort of providing people with what I kind of wish I had in the past, and just sort of enabling people to sort of gain that confidence to kind of take this leap and enter politics. And also just to sort of humanize MPs, because I know a lot of politicians are kind of grilled by the media on stuff, but this is just sort of more kind of like casual, relaxed conversation, aiming to just sort of humanize people that, you know, you kind of see and you're like, wow, these people are like not even human, they're like sort of gods or something, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, because I think we tend to forget that they too are human. Like, they are just humans like we are. Because we always catch them on TV, on the news, like in the middle of a really intense conversation or a really intense debate. So I think it's a good reminder that they are also human beings like we are. Do you have a favorite episode that you've done on your podcast?
Oh, I mean, there are a few. I'd say my interview with Baroness Lola Young was definitely one that sort of stood out to me, because it was my first in-person episode. So I've gone up to Parliament and like, it's just really cool. And then after, she took me around the House of Lords, and like, it was just like such a really interesting experience. And then that kind of enabled me to sort of make new connections and invite them onto my podcast. And just on the podcast, we talked about her book, which is called 8 Weeks, and it's like the story of sort of her upbringing. So she was adopted, and just like she was looking for her birth parents sort of as she got older, and just sort of her journey sort of into politics, and like just like her general life. I just thought that was really interesting, and also just sort of what life's like for a Black woman going into politics as well.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I love that.
It's definitely nice to like also build those contacts. Like you just said, you build contacts with knowing that person and interviewing them. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's such a good like opportunity and a way to like kind of meet new people, like you said, because I think that's one of our favorite things about doing the podcast too, is that we get to meet so many new people and so many cool people and talk to them about really, really amazing things. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the stained glass window in Parliament and what that really means?
Yes. Okay. So there is a stained glass window in Parliament, and I can't remember what year it was, but I think it's like the most recent sort of art piece in there. And basically, it's linked up to like the tides and like the Thames. And it's called New Dawn, and it's made of these like little sort of like scrolls which symbolize all the different pieces of legislation that allowed women to have equal voting rights to men. Um, and like, it annoys me because it's like I've been on a few Parliament tours and they don't mention it much. Like occasionally they might be like, oh yeah, there's this cool window, and it's like, but it's not just a cool window. It literally symbolizes every law that allows women to have the same voting rights as men, and that's something really important, because if you're able to vote, you're able to sort of to shape your own future as well as the futures of the people around you and the future of an entire nation, you know. So I mean, I'd say like if you're ever on a trip up to Parliament, that's definitely something to look at. So it's right outside St. Stephen's Hall. And if you look at it while you go in, you could like maybe take a little photo of it. And then when you come out after your sort of little walk around Parliament, take another photo of it. And like it's just changed massively, even within like half an hour.
Yeah, that's really cool actually. That's really cool. I think like people should definitely look out for it. And like now they know the history of it as well and why it was actually made. And I think it's a really, really nice way to symbolize how much like women have had to go through just to get to where we are today, if that makes sense.
It's a good symbol of that effort.
Yeah, like the perseverance and everything. I really, really like that. So why do you think that women should be involved in politics?
Well, I mean, well, a few things. Firstly, you know, everyone has sort of different perspectives on an issue, on policy, and it's just important to have different perspectives. For example, like women face issues that men don't, and men face issues that women don't, and like sort of different races and different ages and different, like everyone sort of has these different issues and different perspectives. But also, women make up 50% of the population. And I mean, listen, it's great that we're at 40% of women in Parliament right now, but it's just not representative of the population as a whole. And like, I believe that Parliament should be representative of like the amounts of people in different demographics.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting concept actually of having Parliament like kind of mirror what our society looks like. I think that's a really cool concept. That'd be pretty cool to see like actually happen. I think that would be really, really cool. And do you think that maybe like having a certain number of seats reserved for women or like having a quota system to fulfill the amount of women in Parliament would be helpful?
Well, I mean, sort of in terms of seats, no, because I think that could cause more of a divide. In terms of like some people be like, oh, well, why does this constituency have to go to a woman? And it might just cause some sort of resentment amongst people. But I think in terms of like selection processes and like internal stuff within political parties, I think that is a good idea to say, oh, you need to have a certain amount of women sort of on the ballot for this internal election. Or like shortlisted this amount of people, you know, stuff like that I think is a good idea, but just not the actual seat, because you want to be electing someone based on merit, not because they're a woman.
I think like I've had this debate quite a few times, and like the point that I try and make is like you just said is like it builds more of a divide in that case. And like you're basically saying like just because you're a man you need this seat, just because you're a woman you need that seat. And I think it just builds that more negative opinion. I think if it was based off of that type of
I think it can definitely cause that like divide of like not divide, I would say probably like that whole idea that like like it feels like they're just checking like the diversity box, like you filled your diversity quota by having a woman there. But that being said, like in Europe so many countries have quota systems and has definitely increased their like female participation like across Europe in the political realm, which I think that's a really, really good thing. But yeah, of course you can't force anyone to do anything. But yeah, and that being said, even with the quota system, in terms of how many like women should be involved in a certain like political realm in a different country, it's not always like the most like guaranteed like thing of like women are involved, because I think for so many places there's still this whole thing of even though there is female involvement and female engagement, it's still in sectors that are stereotypically more feminine. So like the education sector or like the familial sector, rather than something that's more like masculine stereotypically, like the economy or like land development, like taxes, like that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on kind of where women are, like the seats that like they hold and the roles that they play in governments?
Well, I mean, I think it might be some sort of like internalized sort of bias or misogyny or something, because, you know, just sort of even thinking about like people at like my school, there's a few people that are like, oh, you know, I couldn't do like sort of maths A level or physics A level because like it's just a little bit like masculine. I feel like I'm better at like English or something. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, if you feel like you're better at English, then sure, like I feel like I'm better at English.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you sort of, if you want to do maths or physics or whatever, you know, go do maths or physics or geography or chemistry or whatever you want to do. And like I feel like that sort of follows some people into adulthood as well, and like that's something kind of mean about our society. Like, you know, if a woman tries to go into these like masculine fields, you know, that sometimes she won't face much opposition, but I think a lot of people do. In terms of like, you know, Rachel Reeves was the first female chancellor in like our country's whole history. And just like imagine how difficult that must have been for her to get there. And like, whether or not you agree with her economic policies, I still think that takes a lot of guts and like a lot of sort of confidence in yourself to be able to go into this sort of male-dominated field, and then to just sort of pass laws, pass policy.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Because I think like there's so much like fear, I reckon, around like do I enter like this really like you said, like the really male dominated field? Like, do I do it? Is it something that I should risk, or should I just stick to something that's maybe like safer for me to play out?
It's like if you ever watch like as well PMQs and stuff, like a lot of the men like try and like use that dominance type sense, like when you see them either stand up and stuff and they just try and act like very like tough and dominant. Whereas the women just try and actually get their point across and stuff like that. And I think it's very a negative environment that the men build in Parliament. And a lot of their like rude, sarcastic comments can come very hurtful to some women. And I think that's why, for example, you said Rachel Reeves, it takes a lot of steps to actually get into that type of office.
Yeah, and I think like you were saying, it's so brave, I think, but it's really empowering because I think like you're doing with your podcast as well, it just kind of shows young women that actually you can do what you want to do, you can get into politics if you want to.
Yeah.
And like you were saying with like A-level subjects, you can do STEM subjects if you want to, like just do what you want. And I think it's really inspiring to see like powerful women.
I think it's like our country has done very well, I think, in doing this. So, like, for example, obviously, if you look back at the Margaret Thatcher, the first female prime minister, it took, like, I watched a documentary of her explaining her story, and one of the things she did that a lot of people didn't understand was she filled all her cabinet with men. So literally just her surrounded with all the men. And the reason she did that is she wanted to show that she can do this. She'll work as a team, but she can also pull forward and achieve what she wanted to do. So I think that's definitely like worth thinking.
But even just like in general corporate roles as well, but like sort of politics, sort of like CEOs, just like these sort of like leadership roles, it's really difficult to sort of like women get sort of this criticism that men don't get in terms of like you're either sort of too feminine and like sort of emotional and can't get a job done, or you're like too masculine and like, you know, like whichever side you're on, you know, you're gonna get criticism that men aren't gonna get.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like that is so true because I think you're either too nice or you're too mean. And it's such a weird like line to walk on because it's like, where's the middle? Like, where is the middle?
No.
You know, it's really, I think that's something that so many women struggle with. And like you said, not just in politics, but just like in the corporate world as well. Like, it's such a big thing of like, if I try to like be more masculine, someone's going to say something to me. But if I try to be more like, if I try like be myself and be a bit more feminine with it, then I'm still going to get criticized. Like, there's no way.
You know, like Thatcher, something I like about Thatcher is, you know, like they sort of tried to criticize her by calling her the Iron Lady, and she just turned that around and like, you know, I'm not a Thatcherite, but like I was just like that is a move, you know, that is something really cool.
Yeah, you can't stop seeing, you can't say it's not a power move when it was a power move. Like it was a power move, guys. But yeah, no, that was really cool. I do definitely think it was like inspiring to see. But yeah, if you had like a message to give to like young women that want to get involved, maybe not just in politics, but just or like want to be brave and take a big step, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty inexperienced and like a young person myself, but like I'd say just sort of be authentic, you know, follow your dreams, and like if you believe in something enough and you're resilient enough, like you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah,
I really like that message. I agree with you. I think just just go for it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like there's nothing to lose. Just do it. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today. We really
Thank you
appreciate
guys as
coming
well.
on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.